What's up?
Hello.
What up?
How the hell are you doing?
Why do you always sing it though? Like, can't we just be like, hey guys?
No.
Okay. Noted.
I just feel so good.
Good. I'm glad you do.
Feeling really good. Oh, thanks. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Seal and Rome.
This is Seal. Really, nigga?
Sorry.
That is not Seal. This is Seal.
I was gonna say this is episode 42.
This is Seal.
This is Rome.
Right.
And this is episode number 42.
Good job,
42.
friend.
Yes, we're joined by Jonathan Legend.
Hey, what up?
We missed you last week. Thank you for being here today, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So before we dive into topics, best podcast of 2018, Undisputed.
Go.
If you want to dispute it, head on over to your little phone, your computer, whatever. Shoot us an email at sealandrome@gmail.com.
Till this day,
No disputes, bro.
no disputes.
And then if you want to cop some merch, head on over to afgoclothing.com. Get yourself a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, or a hoodie.
Yeah, and we have a discount code for you guys. It's Seal and Rome 15 gets you 15% off. Wear it, tag us. Well, wear it, take a picture, tag us, and
Yeah.
let us shout you out.
Yeah, and if you figure out how to wear it and tag us, let me know. Let me know. Yo, I want us to start putting together our plans for our 1-year celebration. I was already looking at venues this morning.
Yeah,
This shit gonna be expensive, dog.
I know.
Fuck. So let me know if y'all got any ideas. Help a bitch save some money. Know what I'm saying? I wanna go straight into topics, guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
So first things first, RIP to Joe Jackson.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, cancer.
Yeah.
Yo, that was very sudden when you talk about the time in which it was announced that he was
Sick.
fighting cancer and it was terminal, and then between the time they announced it and the time he died.
I think that it was probably known for a lot longer. It was just not publicly known.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
89 years old. And for all you youngins who don't know who Joe Jackson is, that's Michael Jackson's father.
Yes.
Very stern guy that made sure the Jackson 5 and all them was on top of their game.
I mean,
by any means necessary.
Yeah.
By
I
any
mean,
means necessary.
he was an asshole, and he did a lot of things that probably were not the best parenting.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, let's be real. He got them little niggas some real fame.
I want you back. Ooh, ooh, baby.
Did you see the memes that were coming out after he
I'm
passed
not
away?
watching
I
those.
saw.
I have not
Dude.
seen any, and I don't want to see
The
none.
internet are full of savages, and I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm mad about it, because I think memes have become a part of our culture to the point where when something happens, we have to expect a meme. And like sometimes it's like, who comes up with these things? So there's a meme where Michael Jackson's face looks really serious and disappointed, and it said, when you've been having fun in heaven for 9 years and then your dad shows up.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, the first picture showed him like all smiling
Yes.
by himself. He in heaven partying, and then like
Right.
the next one.
Is him looking all sad and disappointed, and it's like, and then your dad shows up. Oh my god, I was like, that's so fucked up.
Well, R.I.P. to
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Joe Jackson, man. And
to the father of the king.
yeah.
Yes.
Let's jump into this one. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. But Monique apparently, I'm going to say her and her husband, Sydney, recorded a private phone conversation that they were having with Tyler Perry. So I'm going to run down some quick facts and then gather your thoughts.
Okay.
So, before I even go over the call situation, for those of you who've been out of the loop, Monique has been basically very expressive about some negative experiences she's been having in the industry. First, it was, I'm being blackballed. People are saying that I'm difficult to work with. Netflix made me an offer. They lowballed me. So she's just been angry lately and very expressive about that. So,
And
Here we
throwing
are.
everyone under the bus in the process.
So here we are several months later. turns out that Tyler Perry called her and Sydney. Okay. And basically what happened during the call was that Monique and Sydney came down really hard on Tyler Perry about the impact that's been made on her reputation, following some remarks that she's difficult to work with. So they recorded the call. The main focus is where Sydney and Monique were asking Tyler what would he do if he was in their circumstance and what he's willing to do to fix it. So Monique started to seem a little frustrated when he was getting like kind of politically correct with his answers, like, well, what exactly do about what, or what exactly are you asking me? Like,
smart.
He was just very like kind of nonchalant, but I get where he was coming from. And she got so frustrated and she was like, I don't want to talk to Tyler Perry, the billionaire. I want to talk to Medea because she's real to her gut. There were points in the conversation where I don't care how cool you are with Tyler Perry, but if you're talking about professional reputation, she was referring to him as nigga. Like, come on, my nigga. Bop, 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 bop. And my thing is like, if you're on that level, I get it. But if you kind of went into this knowing that you were going to release the call, that looks unprofessional. When you compare what he's doing in the industry and that you're coming to him for help, like I'm not going to position myself that way if I'm questioning you about what you're going to do to help me fix my career. It was kind of weird to me. And then Tyler started to respond after she was like, you know, there was a point where you were homeless and you had to rely on people helping you out and this, that, and third. Like, basically he should understand where she's coming from. And me and my babies are starving. She said something along those lines. So then he was like, you know what I want to do for you is I want to find out how much money Precious is bringing in. And then I want to give that money to you. I want you to have that and do whatever it is that you want to do with it. So instead of accepting that and exploring that option, Sydney, her husband, instead complained about accepting a little bit of money or a little bit of chump change or something along those lines. And they just kept berating him, right? So it was very embarrassing. It was very difficult to listen to. I couldn't even listen to the whole call because it was just embarrassing.
For them.
It was so embarrassing. And I feel that Monique is showing that both her and her husband are difficult to work with, because when someone's offering you money after you complain that you and your babies are starving, and instead of asking questions like, you know, I feel like that's a step in the right direction, but I would like a little bit more, or just having like a very adult conversation about
a negotiation, even when it comes to like the business sense of it.
They were more focused on like berating, talking down to him, being very aggressive and very nasty. And that was just like fucking stupid to me. And honestly, I feel that by releasing the call, I don't know if she thought she was going to be exposing Tyler Perry, but I think all she did was show everybody that she is indeed difficult to work with.
Yeah, she seems like an asshole. I think that as far as, I'm going to touch a few topics that from what you mentioned. I think that as far as the whole calling him my nigga, regardless of whether or not she knew that she was going to release the call, perhaps that was her way of sounding like this was a regular conversation. She's just talking with her homeboy. Like, maybe that was her take. Like, I don't want him to question I'm being different, like suspect anything. So she's probably just talking to him like that's her homeboy.
That's a possibility. But the thing that's weird is that the dynamic between the two. Like, if we're on a conversation level where like my nigga, it's on both sides.
Right. Yeah,
but when
equal.
one person's like, but Monique, I don't understand. And I just really just called to check on you and whatever it is you like me to do. Yeah, my nigga, because you know, I want to talk to Medea. Because you know why I like talking to her? You know why I want to talk to her? You know why I want to talk to her? Because she real to her gut. Medea's a real ass bitch. And he's just like being very professional. So that's what made it awkward to me.
Do you think that maybe because of how she's been as of late, he's probably minding his P's and Q's and being like, you know what, let me be smart with everything that I say, because at any point she can use my words against me. And that's probably where he's coming from as far as like being politically correct.
I feel like seeing where he is in his career, and when I imagine a day in the life of Tyler Perry, even if he came from being homeless or was one way at one point in time, I could honestly believe that he's probably at a stage in his life where he met good intentions when he called her, and he wasn't in a my nigga kind of mood.
Yeah.
He was like,
He was straight business.
yeah, like, I'm here out of the kindness of my heart, reaching out to you. I just got out of church. I just finished saying a prayer. I don't know. I felt like he was in a love and light mood.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's like a gully. He's never come off as a gully ass dude outside of being Medea
Out
to
of
me.
Medea.
Yeah, but I mean,
Like,
that has to come from
personality-wise.
somewhere.
I don't know, but I would say that maybe it's normal for him when he calls his family and friends that he does have a certain level of poise to himself.
Yeah. I think that for the whole saying this little bit of money for the whole Precious thing, that's fucking fucked up and stupid. I believe that movie has made a lot of money, and whether it's chump change to them or not, if your babies are hungry the way that you're claiming they are, you will take whatever you get.
Now, Charlemagne and them was talking about it on the Breakfast Club, and or I heard it on Brilliant Idiots, I forget. And it was the Breakfast Club, and DJ Envy was like, oh, I think that he was just referencing what she's owed for Precious. And I'm like, no, I think she's getting what she was owed and what was made in her arrangement. I think he was either offering her her portion of it or just offering her whatever revenue was generating from it, because I think he's looking at it like, I really don't need that
That's
money.
what I'm
and
saying.
Since you're complaining
Here you
about
go.
starving, like, yo, let me give that to you. Because he was very general with the way that he said it. He said, I'm going to find out how much money is coming in from Precious, and I'm going to give that to you. Like, that statement sounds like I'm going to give that to you as a gift, not because it's owed to you.
Because I'm being a friend and I'm looking out for you the way that you're telling me that you're starving, so therefore I'm going to give you this.
Yeah, like, I hate to hear that you're starving and you feel that I have a hand in that. Like, he genuinely seemed like, yo, you're asking me to help you. Let me help you by doing this. And then they were still being assholes.
All I got to say is, Tyler, if, Monique doesn't take that money, just holler at Zio and Rome. We'll be more than happy to take that.
We will.
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing, how it went, is Tyler did the right thing. He actually made the call, called her the whole time. Like you said, I think the call was like 18, 20 minutes, or the at least whatever they released. And I didn't even listen to it all, because the whole call, he's trying to have a concrete goal. What do you want? What do we want to do? What do we want to accomplish? But it's just the husband or Monique and her husband was just straight up just bullying him on the whole entire call. Like, they weren't even about the money or on the call, which was the whole point of the call.
Right.
It was just bullying. They just wanted to, I guess, get things off their chest, why they're so angry with the industry and all that. I mean, and I want to ask too, if he was, I thought actually Lee Daniels was part of Precious, but I guess, was he part of, the production of Precious too, right? Or is he?
I don't know.
Lee Daniels?
Because that's not a Tyler or Perry film, though, isn't it? That's Lee Daniels.
No, I think that's a Tyler Perry movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
Well,
I could check.
You could
right
do the
now,
fact check.
Yeah, I could do the fact checking, but like I said, he was, at the end of the day, he was trying to help her.
I think he said it was a Lee Daniels on the call, but he somehow was, I don't know if this is the right term, but a mitigating factor in the production overall.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. But ultimately, again, Jonathan, you used a perfect word. It did come off as bullying. Mm-hmm. I'm just like mind blown. I have no idea what she was trying to accomplish by doing this. And I mean, I think her speaking out on top of releasing this call really changed my perspective of her as a person and as a comedian.
I've been feeling some type of way about her. This is just icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. But do you think that perhaps, did you find something, Jonathan?
Yeah, so it was directed by Lee Daniels. Tyler Perry was the executive producer.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And, they have issues, so she probably
and Oprah was executive producer too.
Yeah.
So that's why she was in there.
Do you feel like, at a certain, this is not me making a general statement, I'm just stating what I have seen myself. There's some times where the older you get, the more almost problematic you become. Like, you find the bad in everything. Like, for example, my mom, perfect example. I feel like she's getting older and she's getting to the point where, like, she can see the negative in any situation, where I'm just like, lady, relax, you know? And I feel like I've seen that a lot too with older women, especially.
I feel like pessimism is something that it's like that song that R. Kelly has. When a woman's fed up, ain't nothing you could do about it. And unfortunately, when we're fed up and we see a lot of the same results after all the efforts we put into the things that are important to us, we get fed up and then we immediately just jump to the negative because we've been seeing a lot of back-to-back negativity. So I can see how I think
that's where she's at, though. I think that she feels like that about no matter what comes her way.
And I get that, but I feel like pessimism is like a disease because it's kind of like when you're not self-aware and not holding yourself accountable of the role you played in a scenario, I think it's very easy to be pessimistic because you feel like things are happening to you. You don't see how you're contributing to the situation.
Yes.
No
And
control.
it's very difficult to get out of that cycle when you're looking outward like things are happening to you. And you're basically, you're eliminating that power that you have to change and create circumstances when you put yourself in a position of things constantly happening to you.
Absolutely. And
You get what I'm saying? 'Cause
absolutely.
It could be that situation was fucked up, but you could have a positive outlook and be like, you know what? I learned from that situation. Time to move forward. And for future reference, next time I negotiate a contract, I'm going to make sure that they cover my promotional expenses. And if they don't do that within the contract, I'm going to make sure that I am paid enough in that contract to where I can afford to go out and fly overseas to do promo.
100%. Take the loss and make it a lesson. And I think that what you stated was 100% correct. I feel like when we find ourselves in a negative situation, it's so easy for us to kind of like get down and be like, oh wow, like why did this happen? And sometimes we're not aware of how our choices in that situation got us to that situation. So it's about being conscious, knowing what happened, what took place, being accountable, and learning moving forward.
Yeah, and sometimes you just got to cut your losses, even if you didn't really have any fault in the situation. Sometimes it could just be associating yourself with fucked up motherfuckers.
Word up,
and just holding yourself accountable for being a better judge of character.
Sometimes the saying "charge it to the game" is real as
Hell
fuck.
yeah.
Charge it to the game and keep it moving. Learn and just that's life.
And she made the mistake of releasing that audio because I know her plan was like, oh, if I release it, maybe people will finally get on my side.
No,
that backfired.
Yeah.
That made you look bad. Made you look sloppy.
And whether he knew he was being recorded or not, he played his game well because
he was cool the whole time.
He realized during the call how idiotic they sounded.
Good.
Yeah.
Because certain things Sydney was saying, he was just like chuckling under his breath, like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't trying to be a patronizing asshole, but he was like, are you big mad or little mad?
I was
like,
surprised.
He didn't say that.
Oh, I was about to say.
But that's the way the chuckling was coming off. Like, I offer you money. You're not being very direct with this question you're asking me.
Right.
Look, I just called you to check on you guys, and you guys are just like
being assholes.
Right.
Like, listen, that man's time is very valuable, and the fact that he even stayed on the call for that long after the way they've treated him, unbelievable. I couldn't believe that he was putting up with that shit.
Well, good for Tyler Perry, and you know, Monique definitely has some. She needs to either step back and step out the game and just let it be that, or she needs to learn how to get herself back in the game the correct way. But I think it's a wrap for her.
I feel like if Monique was on Ayanla Fix My Life, she would try to fix Ayanla's life. Like, I feel like
she would switch it up.
Yeah, she'd be like, no, baby, listen.
No, baby.
My
no,
sister.
Baby.
My sister.
My baby.
This is what's wrong with our people today.
Yeah. She, like, I'm super surprised how, like, laid back and, like, how long Tyler Perry kept on the phone, because I listened to like a minute or two and I was already like, I can't stand to hear these people talk no more.
Class act.
And she's really kind of tarnishing her legacy. Like, if she didn't think she was blackballed before, she definitely is now.
And that by her own doing this time.
Yeah.
She
can't blame that on nobody.
With her legacy, when's the last time you actually heard her tell a joke? That's who she is, a comedian.
She did. She told I don't want to talk to the billionaire Tyler Perry. I want to talk to Medea. That was actually funny, but it was like you played yourself.
The thing about it is that I think that her jokes or her intent on that being a joke is really low key an insult.
Yeah.
And now it's not even funny anymore. Now
it was like she was trying to teach him something. Like, let's look at Tyler Perry. You think he needs to learn something from you, Monique?
No.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
She want to keep putting herself in a position of a teacher. Like, Yo, I mean, humility is important no matter the age. I think everybody can learn from everyone, and we have to learn how to work together. I want to transition. You know, we mentioned Lee Daniels. Perfect segue to the situation between Dame Dash and Lee Daniels. So basically, Dame Dash confronted Lee Daniels at either a Diana Ross concert or something that was like a Diana Ross tribute, something Diana Ross, okay? So he basically approached Lee Daniels in the middle of a crowd. You could barely hear what he's saying, but there's captions in the video. But he's basically saying he wants his motherfucking money, okay? Yep. And he's pissed at how Lee has avoided him and how he didn't even invite him to the premiere of Precious. And he basically is like, yo, you've been avoiding me. Like, I want my fucking money, right? So you just see like Lee Daniels in the video, like, I'm sorry, I know. Why don't I give you my number? We can talk about this somewhere else, not here. So you didn't see Lee Daniels get defensive, like, yo, what the fuck, nigga? Like, back the fuck up off me. Oh, yeah. He was very humbled in that moment, like, Dame, please don't punch me in my fucking face. Like, that was the vibe, right? So Lee Daniels followed up with a video interview with Rock Rants. She's like one of the chicks from TMZ that has her own little like vlog like segment or whatever. So what Lee Daniels says is that the $2 million was an investment and not a loan, and that the investment was for a particular movie called Shadow Boxer, which was not successful. And he says that's the reason why Dame didn't get his money back, but that he did tell Dame that I do promise that you'll get your money back in 2 to 3 months. And he feels that because he gave him his word that he is deserving of that money. On top of that, he says that he's working on something very special to make sure that he gets paid back, that he does deserve it after everything he's done for them. And he says that Dame invested in him when no one else did, and that if it weren't for Dame, he probably would not be where he is today.
Finally.
Well, that definitely also makes me feel some type of way about Lee Daniels, and perhaps Monique is correct in some of the things that she says.
I don't feel it's bad, but I feel business is a two-way street.
Yeah, and I think that even if it was an investment on Dame's part, if Lee did in fact give him his word, then he's entitled to get that money back. Because if I'm investing and I'm clear that it's an investment, and you tell me, listen, don't worry, I got you back, nigga, I expect that money back in 2 to 3 months, as you're stating.
Either way.
And I don't feel it should have been treated as a hardcore investment, considering that both of them have stated that there was no official paperwork between them.
They were probably
being that there's no official
homeboys.
Paperwork, then you shouldn't call it a textbook investment. It's more like your boy helping you get this project off the ground.
That's like, a handshake deal.
Word up. And like, let's be completely honest. When it comes to like street code, if we're niggas and you're telling me, yo, I need your help, I help you, and you're like, I got you, nigga, I expect you to get me the way that I just had you.
And that's what Dame said in his follow-up interview with TMZ, because he said, I believe it was Coachella or something that happened previously in which they collaborated, something about he brought Kanye out to perform, Lee did some other shit. It was either Coachella or that shit they do for the movies, Sundance or some shit.
Oh, I don't know.
Some shit.
Movie festival.
Yeah, Dame contributed some money, and Lee did the same thing. Like, yo, I got you. I'm gonna pay you back this money after this event, but just help me out.
Yeah.
And that when they got back from that event, that he made his money back and then some.
Okay.
So he said it was nothing for him to give him the $2 million again, because they already had an experience together where he made his money back. So he had no concerns about whether or not Lee would pay him back or whatnot. So I got an extra tidbit on that. There is a new lawsuit where Dame is suing Lee Daniels. Apparently, Lee Daniels promised to get Dame on as executive producer with the Richard Pryor biopic.
Oh, yeah.
Along with 5% of Daniels' back-end profits on the project. And it didn't happen. So now Dame is suing him for $5 million.
Oh, well,
shit.
I'm sure that includes his original $2 million.
I also noticed that Dame took down the original video where he was putting Lee Daniels on blast, which I feel is maybe an indicator that they are truly working something out.
Yeah. I mean, go
ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm glad that it finally, the whole situation is getting worked out. And it sucks that it took this for Lee Daniels to get put on blast on camera all over, TMZ and all on social media. But, I'm glad they worked it out.
I do want to have one quick, what do you think segment.
Wait, 1 second before we switch to that.
It's on this topic still.
Okay, or if he did take that video down, it may not only be an indicator that perhaps they're working it out. If there is legalities, they may have asked him to take it down to not start any further
I think
issues.
they already went to court for this.
Oh, it's not a current lawsuit?
Well, there's a current lawsuit separate with the Richard Pryor thing, but I think the $2 million that they were discussing in that video, I think they already went to court for that in Dame Laws.
I don't know.
Well, I know the recent video that Dame actually posted was the Lee Daniels interview where he's like, I'm going to pay Dame his money. And the caption was Dame saying, that's what's up. Let's work this thing out and all that. So I think that way I at least saw that. So.
But I get what you're saying, CO, being that he's suing him for the $5 million now. He probably doesn't want to make himself look like a bully or like you pulled up. He doesn't want to appear in poor moral character when standing in front of a judge. That may be a factor.
And that can also be considered in the legal world. That can also be considered harassment of a witness or whatever the actual terminology is.
Which leads me to my question, or what do you think, rather? So, me, like, don't get me wrong, I speak well, and people are always commenting they don't believe I'm about that life and that I have a past, yada, yada, yada. But I have my moments where I could get gully as fuck and not give a fuck what's going on.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, sometimes when he sees this side of me, he's like, babe, really? Like... I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You gotta let these motherfuckers know. You know what I'm saying? Nah, shit. You gotta let them fucking know. Because if you don't check them, then they, I get like really crazy like that. Yeah. Now, sometimes I do say to myself, like, that is not ladylike. That is like, you're an adult. You're in your 30s, whatever. But I think there's time, place, appropriateness when, conducting yourself that way. But it gets shit done sometimes because let's talk about how many years he went without getting his money and all it took was for a nigga to pull up at the Diana Ross concert. I don't give a fuck. Where you at, son? Where the fuck is my money?
Word up.
Right. Yo, that shit made some progress.
Got results.
So I feel like
sometimes
having a gangster approach, sometimes I feel like after you exhaust all other efforts.
Right.
I feel like I can appreciate that approach.
Yeah. I feel like that's the type of person that I am. Like, I'll give mad warnings like, listen, let's not do this. But you know what? I'm also the type of person that I'll get hyped up off of my friends. Like, if my friends are going through something and they're in a specific situation and I see that it's something, like, I'm usually able to, like, push them back from the ledge to like, calm down, it's not that serious. I feel like I'm pretty even keeled that way. However, when I see that it's like serious and I can agree that it's serious, I'm like, oh, we fighting, son.
Say no
it ain't
more.
nothing. Where we going? Yo, let me tell you, there have been people that have shown up at my house on some crazy shit where they're like, I can't do this anymore, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And they're like, this and this and this and that, and they're close to me. I'm straight putting on my sneakers. Where are we riding to?
And I don't know if it was you and I having this conversation or me and Jonathan about why are we this way. I think it was you and I, Sia, that we were having this conversation. You were out somewhere. And I think what it is that when you grow up not having shit, or when you grow up like and you see like your parents being treated a certain way or you see certain things, you're like, I'll be damned if I let a nigga disrespect me. Like sometimes respect is all that you have, and you just become so crazy that you will never let anybody disrespect you. And if they try, it just triggers something in your head where you just feel like you got to constantly check things down.
100%.
But I think that as I get older, I'm trying to better learn how to handle that. But it depends on certain things. Depends on what we talking about.
Yeah, I could still get busy. It's nothing.
The money thing, I'm good with, because I hold myself accountable that if I can't afford to lose that money.
Yeah, you have said that.
I'm Gucci. So I only let money leave my hand if I can afford to lose it. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like I just hold myself accountable for being a better, being more responsible with my money and what I choose to do with it.
What you choose to say yes to.
You fuck with my husband, you fuck with my family, you fuck with my friends. I don't know. I might turn psycho.
Son, respect. I think culturally though, respect is a big thing. And actually I was having this conversation last night. There was a a waiter that he was white, and he was like, I've been with nothing but white girls my whole life, and usually I walk all I don't know, this is his statement.
Was he white too, or?
He was white.
Okay.
This is his statement. This is not my statement. This is what this man said. He said, I've been with nothing but white girls my whole life. And usually I can walk all over white girls. I'll tell them to shut the fuck up and they'll shut the fuck up. He's like, I just recently started dating a Dominican woman. And let me tell you, if I was to even consider saying to her to shut the fuck up, I know I'm probably going to die. And he literally said, I get this one face when I know that I've done something wrong. And that face alone would let me stop in my movement or whatever.
Tracks.
In my tracks, and contemplate and think, what can I do to fix this? Like, what has happened? How can I do something differently? He's like, I think that culturally, respect is just a big factor. And I was like, absolutely.
Sure.
That is 100% correct.
And I hate to make it a white and black thing, but if we look at what history shows us, I feel that a lot of people say that they feel that a lot of times that white women are more likely to be more passive or more submissive.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
If you didn't want to do black and okay, go. I'm sorry.
But what I was gonna say is that I do feel that in this day and age that there is a new wave of white women that ain't taking nobody's shit.
For sure.
And I salute every single one of you motherfuckers that's out there, even checking your own people when they step out of line.
Yeah.
They are out there.
Oh, for sure.
They ain't taking nobody's shit and they checking motherfuckers in the process. So that's what we need. We need more realists and people that are standing up for themselves and not letting people treat them any kind of way.
Absolutely,
so,
I agree.
But a lot of it is them watching what their mothers did and their mother watching what their mother did. And so that's why race and culture can be the dynamic that kind of sets that makes the difference. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So
didn't you also say not only like race and culture and all that, but you said kind of maybe like financial background, like if you grew up rich, you grew up poor or something like that. You said something like that. That might have something to do
I was
with
talking about when you go your whole life and you don't have anything, you an angry motherfucker a lot of the times, and I think that
has a lot to do with it too.
You never want to feel like someone's trying to take something from you or be threatening towards you or those types of things, and that tends to make people a little more aggressive. I mean, let's be real, when we look at divorces, when we look about crime, violence, all those things, those are usually in poverty-stricken areas, fucked up relationships, whether it's parent-child relationships or romantic or whatever. Like, money has a hand in a lot of dysfunction when you don't have it.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that that's a factor too, but I think a lot of it is what we see from our parents.
Yeah.
Right.
It's environmental.
I do really believe
Definitely.
and feel that.
And I think too, I mean, bringing back to the original question, I mean, to me, like anger is a tool. You know what I'm saying? It's not good or bad. It's what kind of like art of war. You got to be strategic with anger.
Yeah.
Is it worth getting upset over, causing a fuss, blowing off steam, or is it something that you can be strategic with and, maybe and be more laid back about it? So I think like in some situations, it makes sense to turn up, but in not all cases. And it's when it's done right.
And Jonathan's one of those people, he's very slow to anger.
I was just
I just
say
feel
that.
like for me, it's part of my instinct to be angry. Like, it's part of my instinct that, like, before I even get all the facts, and like if I feel something inside of me, it's
that
like
doesn't sit well.
Sometimes hard to like dial me back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I have certain triggers.
Yeah.
With him, he's just like, does he get upset? But he's not a slave to his emotions like I am.
Yeah.
Like, I am a slave to my emotions sometimes.
Do you feel like you hold on to a specific emotion for a long period of time before you're
No.
No? So then I wouldn't say you're a slave to your emotions.
I think I'm a slave to my emotions where I will react based off how I feel instead of taking a moment to dissect and be logical about it.
See, I used to be that way. I want to say like Zio circa 2002 to 2004. I was very like, look at me one type of way and I don't like that look. I'm literally about to like go ham and kill somebody. That's who I was. Like, oh, we got a problem? You got something to say to me? Yeah. I've learned to not be that way though. And for the most part, I'm okay with like processing my feelings looking at something objectively and kind of being like, is this really worth me being upset?
I was just going to say the difference with me is that I can still turn up like from 1 to 10 really quick. But I do think that I am picking and choosing what's important for me to get mad about.
See, but then
I'm doing better at that.
Yeah. But my thing is that because I can be more objective about it and let things slide, when I do turn up, that's when it's scary to me, because I'm like, now I've reached a point where I can't let anything slide. You know what I'm saying? That is what's scary to me.
I'm just laughing at, like, you know, it's a fake scenario. It's always happening in my head.
It's a fake scenario.
And I just feel like there's just so much violence and it's not okay. I want to be, I wish I could be more cool like Jonathan and be like, you know, violence is not the answer. Let's look at this objectively.
It's not worth it.
Sometimes I'm just like, I'm punching a bitch in her face. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Sometimes bitches need a punch in the face.
It's whether you're going to use that anger as constructive or destructive.
Yeah.
What's
I mean, we could talk about it after I punch you in the face and discuss why I punched you in the face and how we stop you getting
ask questions
punched
later.
And if you don't like getting punched in the face, then don't try me.
Don't do it in the first place.
I agree to all of this.
So I got a permit Patty update.
Ooh, yay. Yeah.
And CO's definitely going to segue from this one because she has a lot to say. So let me first do a little recap. Well, first things first. A 911 call has been released where she did indeed call the police. So the backstory is Permit Patty, she's a white woman named Allison Edel. She was caught on camera calling 911 on an 8-year-old little girl who was illegally selling water. I believe her mom was out there with her.
Yeah.
This all went down in San Francisco, California, by the way. So since the release of the video, Allison's been receiving a lot of backlash. She says she's even received death threats.
Boo-hoo.
She got the name Permit Patty. She also did a few interviews with like CNN, NBC, I believe. And during those interviews, she's just like very crying, remorseful. This was a little black girl. So she was saying that it wasn't racially motivated. And I could not find the video today, but I could have sworn I seen with my very own 2 eyes where she said, I didn't even call the police. I was pretending to call the police.
Yeah.
I could have swore I saw that and that I heard it come out of her mouth,
but
I could not find the video today. I did find another video, however, where she said I did call the police, but I didn't call them on one specific person. I was just calling to find out, generally speaking, what the permit laws are.
Right.
But anyway, after she denied calling the police, the narrative is that the 911 call is released where we're like, bitch, you lying, because here's the 911 call where she's like, I want to report someone selling something illegally. And the 911 operator's like, okay, let me transfer you to that department. Anyway, she's the co-founder of Treatwell Tinctures. It's a cannabis line of products that treat like medical ailments for both pets and humans. She stepped down as CEO because she says she doesn't feel that it's fair that everyone at the company is being impacted by her choices and her decisions. But if you're still supporting that company, she's still a benefactor. So a lot of people are like, fuck that. Regardless if she stepped down, like, don't support the company. Many dispensaries are dropping her products left and right. But this shit is just a hot fucking mess. I also came across another story. It's totally separate, where these neighbors called the police on a group of kids that formed like a little summer lawn mowing company.
Yeah.
And because they accidentally cut their grass, like they didn't know the exact line of where the grass started and stopped. And I'm like, you motherfuckers need to just stop calling the cops over things that are not emergencies, and especially not on these babies. Like, this shit's fucking ridiculous.
Listen, the fact that this bitch decided to call 911 rather than whatever city sheriff's department or county, whatever you want to call it, is fucking beyond me at this point. Who uses 911, which is an emergency only line, to report a little girl selling water? you need to get your life together.
Stop treating 911 like it's a customer service line.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, oh,
she should be arrested or charged for that.
That was going to be my next point. I feel like because she chose to, I feel like anyone who decides to use the 911 line as this type of things that we're seeing now, reporting something, asking questions, whatever the case may be, you need to be either heavily fined or you need to be arrested. That needs to be some sort of breaking of the law.
You know what I think phones need to do? I think that instead of having just a 911 for emergency calls, they need a built-in, like, your local non-emergency line.
That's actually really smart.
Like, because
Right.
a
Yo, don't
lot
be
of
talking
people,
about this shit on the air, fam. We could be making money off
you know, because I just feel like if you want to call, that's fine, but it's still petty. But people need to be calling non-emergency line. Do you know, actually, and I found this by mistake because it was some helicopters that sounded like they was going to land in my backyard, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, you've become that person.
No, nigga, I swear to God, this helicopter was loud.
Yo,
as
Rome was
fuck.
about to call 911 on the helicopters.
I was going to be like, excuse me. I hear a very loud. The helicopter literally sounded like it was hovering over our house at 3:00 in the morning.
probably
and it made me
was.
very concerned. So anyway, I was looking online to see if there's a way to see if there was something going on in the area.
In the
Like, I wanted
neighborhood,
to know.
They're looking for somebody.
Turns out that you can see the 911 calls that are being made in your city, the time of the call, and the address that they're calling police to come to. Yes. It'll say like 911 call, such and such time, domestic disturbance, and it'll show the address.
Yo,
That is public
find out.
information.
that is news to me because I did not know.
Noise ordinance.
Yeah.
So actually, BuzzFeed did a recent analysis on all 911 calls and how many of them are permit patties.
Really?
funny.
Yes.
That's
yes.
Good. That's good. And those people need to be charged. I wanted to ask a question to see what you guys thought about the whole permit patty thing. Do you feel like this is a form of gentrification because of the fact that it is a little black girl? It's kind of they're building so many high rises and these, modern little towns in these cities that have been around with families generation through generation through generation, and these people are now building these things here. These people are moving in, and now they're the ones that are causing the disturbance.
So
it's not these people. These people have been known in these cities forever.
now here's the thing. I did start to think about gentrification after I saw a news story on this, but I had to check myself. And I
Why?
have to check myself on answering this question, because here's what I heard in the video. Little girl says, I'm selling water because I wanted to help my mom because she lost her job and because I wanted to go to Disneyland. Okay. Based off of that statement, I'm going to assume that financially they're not in the healthiest place. Right.
Correct.
And I'm going to assume that they're in a low to moderate income situation. Assume. However, this lady is the CEO of Treatwell Tinctures, which indicates to me, especially by the number of vendors they had and the cannabis industry is popping.
Right.
I'm going to assume that she has paper. So if CEO of Treatwell Tinctures is complaining that she's working from home, this is her residence,
Right.
and that these people were downstairs yelling, I'm like, why is someone in a low to moderate income living so close or in the same building
right.
as someone who's a CEO of a company of this stature? But then I say to myself, what if this family wasn't low to moderate income? Maybe they are living check to check, but what if mom was in a situation where she was making enough money that she could very well be, middle class or
Maybe
upper
she's
class,
there,
but just
so
was
her-
living paycheck to paycheck, because it's a lot of motherfuckers out here getting paper, living check to check.
Absolutely.
So for me, I'm like, I don't know if it's gentrification without knowing and understanding the dynamic of the neighborhood and knowing and understanding the dynamic between the neighborhood structure. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what makes it so hard for me to answer the question, because I feel like if we assume the worst of these people because they're black and mom lost her job, I feel like then that's shame on me for assuming that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Not having
Right.
exact details and
And I'm
assuming
trying to
that.
be careful of that, but I do want to assume that, yes, this is probably one of the neighborhoods we've been seeing where you're seeing one house is low to moderate income, next to it's a high rise, like Seminole Heights.
Yes.
One block is like, what the fuck? The next block is like, oh, brewery.
Right. Oh, Starbucks. Oh, there's a Starbucks now on this corner where there used to be a mom and pop shop.
I was also going to say maybe too, if she was living paycheck to paycheck, maybe she did live in a neighborhood like that so her daughter could go to a better school too, location wise as well.
It could be a lot of different factors that I don't know, but I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if this was a circumstance of gentrification. Who knows? Maybe Permit Patty's an extreme cheapskate, and she's
that could be it too.
Dynamically living in a low to moderate income area because she doesn't want to live in a better or area that's more in line with maybe her income situation. I don't know. It's so difficult to answer that question, but I do feel that gentrification is definitely a factor that's resulting in a lot of these
permit patty calls.
Absolutely,
Sure. I think that I also want to agree that that's what it is. Like, for example, did you hear that Washington Heights is supposedly the new Williamsburg?
That's weird.
That's not true. It's not even possible for that to be the new.
Like how?
Yeah, for those of you who aren't familiar with New York,
tear all the buildings down.
Word up. Williamsburg is kind of like this very hipster, kind of modernized, kind of like the Seminole Heights situation where they're, taking all of these families out and kind of built these new modern, even like old historic houses, and it's just that's what I call Williamsburg.
It's weird though because like my cousin, she lives in the Bronx, not too far from like I want to say the Botanical Gardens in the Bronx. So it's not necessarily the best area, but it's not a bad area, but it is a blend of houses and buildings. And they're so close together that it's fucking ridiculous. Like, God forbid if one of these set on fire because they're all going down. But you'd be very surprised, Theo. Like last time that I went to New York City, I was in Brooklyn and I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yes.
I could not believe my eyes. Like things that you saw that were one way and then you go back like it's 3 to 5 years later and you're like, what the fuck?
What happened?
I see the outline of what was here, but
it's not.
Even in Buffalo, a lot of changes, like, and I grew up there, so I know how shit looked. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, this parking garage wasn't here the last time I was here. And it's just like, shit can just like that. Just completely change into something else.
And that's what, when I heard that Washington Heights was supposedly going to be the new Williamsburg, I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. And if it does happen, that's what's scary to me, because I feel like that is going to lead not only to more permit patties, because Washington Heights is predominantly a lot of Dominican families, and it's like generation through generation through generation, so much so that when even people from New York, when you're like, hey, I'm going to Washington Heights, they automatically, or I live in Washington Heights, they automatically know or assume that you're Dominican or are going to visit a family that's Dominican. Like that's just what the no is. So let's say that this becomes the new Williamsburg, these families are still there. Now you're bringing all of these, wealthy, perhaps Caucasian, perhaps other races, who knows, but that is going to also cause more problems.
I feel like it was bound to happen though, because I felt like for the longest time it's been very difficult to survive financially in New York City, no matter the borough. Like I've known people that have lived in the Bronx and they were living like 11 people in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, and I feel that that's naturally how gentrification works. Let's raise this rent until motherfuckers can't
they can afford
this shit, and then on top of that is so overpopulated. I feel like that discomfort just naturally over the years pushes people out. Last time that I was in Brooklyn, not only did I see by Barclays, like that whole Bedford-Stuyvesant area, that it was gentrified, but even when I went up a little bit more and I was in Brownsville, which is Brownsville, like it was so overpopulated that people were double parked, like on the sidewalk and on the street. And there were times I'd be driving down the street where there's literally a car like like if one of us need to move or we're going to end up hitting each other head on.
It's
the
like
streets
that.
are that tight. Like that's how overpopulated it is. So I just kind of feel like naturally this is something that's been in the works for a long time, and it's just spreading. It's spreading into all these different areas now.
Yeah, but it's always
Let's say
like,
it started in Manhattan.
but it's always like, I feel so bad because it's always in like the most historic, poorest neighborhoods that I feel like the history has a lot to do with it. But this leads me to an actual comment that was made on the Joe Budden podcast that I agreed so much with. So much with it. I was like, yes, that is what needs to happen. Okay, let's say that gentrification is a real thing and this is what we have to expect moving forward, right? I feel like it is important and maybe something that we can look into to have officers who grew up in those cities to be the police officers to police that city. One, you're going to be more knowledgeable of the type of people that are there.
What's considered normal, what's a real threat,
what's a real threat, what is actually there's this guy walking down, like that one thing I read one time where the crazy guy that was walking down with a shower head and someone thought that it was a gun and they came and they shot this kid, right? All right, they're gonna know, the police officer that grew up in that hood and gets called, he's gonna know that's just Johnny from down the street, ma'am. He is no threat. This is no threat at all. You know what I'm saying? We can avoid a lot of things moving forward. And also these permit patties, because then we can hold these permit patties accountable when they call the police and the police shows up and they're like, did you really just call the police for this 6-year-old girl selling water? Ma'am, if you call us out here again and waste my time, I'm going to fine and take you under arrest. Like, I think that that's important. That's a real thing.
Put police officers where they lived at or where they live now. I absolutely agree with that.
Like, I'm biased with my comments on that because my dad's been in law enforcement for many, many years. And not only that, my dad was a sergeant for housing, which was very specific to the projects. They had their own police that wasn't part of the city police. Right. And the things that my dad used to tell me that were going down, I feel like whether you were from there or not, that sometimes things would get out of hand. But I feel like over the years of working in that profession, at some point it is going to harden you and it is going to make you want to treat the people a certain way. And I'm kind of concerned that if you are from there, you're going to feel more comfortable being hard-nosed with these motherfuckers because you're like, you feel more entitled to be able to treat people, to be like, yo, you need to chill the fuck out. You're on my block. Bop, 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 bop. Like, you get exhausted. Like, being a cop, especially in those types of dynamics, is such a stressful job that the life expectancy of people that work in law enforcement is much lower than the normal people who work like less stressful jobs, and that a lot of them actually die shortly after retirement.
But the fact that is known, the fact that that is known can be used for our advantage. Okay, you get exhausted, right? Sometimes it takes a toll on you. Put it on rotation. There's more than one person that has grown up in this city.
I feel like there's a way that it can be done, that there should be healthy rotations.
Absolutely.
So that they don't feel burnt out. I think that that's very, very important. There was something else that I was going to say, but nonetheless, I feel that a lot of this shit is starting with the police officers and what they're allowing too, because out there are permit patties where the police fall into it and they're catering to the permit patties to where they're comfortable and feel like, oh, I'm going to call the police and they're going to handle this. And there's police that are out there like not looking at it like it's a joke. They're looking at it as an opportunity to fuck a nigga up, to arrest someone,
make a quota.
And which leads me to this point that what was it that we were watching on Netflix? We were watching a preview of some documentary or whatever about our prison system. That there's 13 million arrests a year in this country. Like, it's out of control. You know, I feel a lot of this shit is starting with police, and that we need to change to where we're policing in one way or another. And I think that when it comes to permit patties and all this shit, like, hopefully we'll start seeing a change. Yes, let's start disciplining people who are using 911 like it's a game.
For real.
And stupid arrests.
Like, if I was a police officer and I showed up somewhere, a permit patty called me and it's like, yes, this 6-year-old is selling water and it's being it's disturbing the peace. Because I know that it is, I have to hold the law uphold the law, correct? So I understand where if the child doesn't have a permit, the mother doesn't have a permit, then they're not allowed to be doing this. I can address that accordingly. However, I need to also address the fact that you just called 911 for this type of situation. So I'm not gonna address one thing and let the other one slide. That's not fair either.
Yeah. Well, I got one more story that was very interesting. It's more along the lines of modern day slavery in an interesting way.
Okay.
So I just want to let y'all know what's going on out here. This takes place near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. There's a man named Bobby Paul Edwards, who's 53, and he was in charge of J&J Cafeteria, which is in Conway, South Carolina, between the years of 2009 and 2014. Now, John Christopher Smith, who is now 40 years old, has worked at this restaurant since he was 12 years old.
Oh my God, there's labor laws against that.
So authorities removed the victim, Mr. Smith, from the premises in 2014 after receiving many complaints from patrons about some of the abuse that they've witnessed happening to this guy over the years.
What?
So an example of that would be like hot tongs that were like dipped in hot grease and the dude pinching the guy on the back of his neck with these hot tongs.
When you say that the dude, well, who are we speaking of? Just another coworker?
No, the guy that was arrested, the Bobby Paul Edwards guy.
Yeah.
He actually pleaded guilty to one count of...
But was he the owner?
It's unclear. It just says that he was in charge between 2009 and 2014.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if he's owner, was a manager, whatever the case was, but they said he would dip the tongs in hot grease, pinch the back of this dude's neck. He's beaten the dude with belts. He's even used abusive language towards him, including racial epithets. Edward has pleaded guilty to one count of forced labor. It's said that the victim, Mr. Smith, has intellectual disabilities and that he was coerced to work long hours without pay. And it looks like Mr. Edwards can face up to 20 years in prison.
That's not enough time.
Yeah, that ain't enough.
That's not enough time. I don't care. I feel like if you can consciously do something that you know is hurting someone, and this someone clearly doesn't have the enough IQ or sense to stick up for themselves or even know that you're purposely doing this and they're just taking it, that's so fucked up to me. Those are the type of people that deserves punches in their face. Like that would make me
punches death.
That would make what I'm saying, like in a scenario where like you're like sometimes you
go
could
there
control
to get
your
a hot
anger.
dog.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would literally jump over the counter into the kitchen and fucking put the tongs in the grease and slap him across the face with it. Like that is so fucked up.
I just put his face in the grease.
Yeah. Ooh, I like the way that you think.
Face down, ass up.
Whoa. No, seriously.
Damn, you turned it into
something else. That's so fucked up. He deserves more than 20 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Deserves life behind bars. People in jail need to know what he did so that they can fuck him up.
I ain't gonna say all that, but I feel you.
Oh well, that's how I feel.
Okay.
I don't care.
No to racism, no to modern day slavery.
Modern day slavery
is a very real thing. Even like there's secret shit going on behind closed doors that's like black market type shit.
Oh yeah.
But this is something that was happening out in the open. Unbelievable.
Like I don't know how true this is, but I know that I have feelings, and I've heard some situations where like, you know, the Asian people that do your nails, sometimes they're sent over, you know, to kind of live this better life, but they're paid to come, like someone pays for their ticket and their way of life. Yeah. And then they have to work to pay that off. And a lot of the time they're working way more than what that actual debt was.
Right.
That's modern day slavery too.
Yep.
You know, I'm not going to front, but the nail place we go to, something is wrong there.
Not for nothing.
Gives you bad vibes.
No, dead ass. I feel the same.
Something is
vibes.
wrong because I will go there and it'll be dead, right?
Yeah.
But all the motherfuckers are on deck in a spot.
Ready.
And they are ready to do whatever the fuck they're told to do. They are there every fucking day of the week.
No off days.
Every fucking day. I mean, I have a client that owns a nail salon.
Sketchy.
And, you know, I see the finances and everything that goes into this. And I have another client that doesn't own a salon, but she works at one, and financially she's doing really well too. But whether it's voluntarily or not, I know that they be working like every fucking day. all they do is nails, and I don't know, they just give off this vibe like they can't go home.
Yeah, so I have two things to say about that.
It's a vibe. It's a I can't go home
I get
vibe.
it. I get it. I see it all. I feel it when I'm there. But I have two things to say about that. One, perhaps because it's something that has been happening for so long within their culture, and it's like known, do you even think that they consider it a negative thing? Like, they probably just feel like this is the way that things are, so
Yeah.
They don't know no
not,
better.
yeah, they may not see it as a negative, right? And
Possibly.
two,
They
I
ain't
don't know.
woke.
I don't know what type of person that makes me be. Like, do you think that that's like, it's bad that I still go there and get my nails done, having that energy that
Okay.
I'm like,
So here's the
these
thing.
people are here against their will.
I don't know if they're there against their will.
But it's the vibe that I get.
I don't know. And the thing that's so weird is that they always got on some blingy shit. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
Like, they got on little blingy flip flops, little blingy knockoff BB t-shirts,
All the
little
time.
blingy hair scrunchies. Like, they want to give off the impression that they're doing well.
yeah.
Or sometimes I see their jewelry and I'm like, okay, like, they don't look like a slave. You know what I mean? But I feel like the owner is maybe forceful with like, no, you have to be here
Standards and all
from
that.
this time to that. I feel like even if they're getting paid, I feel like there's just a very unusual labor dynamic. I don't feel like these people are getting their proper breaks. I don't feel like they have proper work-life balance.
Oh, for sure.
I'm going to say that at least. Okay.
They're always
Conditions.
rushing to the back to like scruff like some food down really quick and then run back outside.
But I'm not going to front. The salon we go to, she's got a system. The
It works.
motherfuckers are washing them towels,
Yes.
steaming those towels. She's got a really good rotation.
Serving you some wine.
Like, she's on it, and customers come first. Like, I don't know. I hope they're getting paid, and I hope that no one's there against their will.
Well, next time you go there, you should just say something like, "Yo, if you blink twice, if you're being held
I
against
would
your will."
never, ever, ever. I wouldn't, because if they were like, yes, like, what do I do at that point?
Hey,
Call
I
911. Be a permanent
you gotta be a permit patty.
patty.
I was to say that too.
I would like to report a slave.
Yeah,
Modern day
situation.
slave situation.
Exactly.
I can't.
Oh my God. That's
Like,
good.
I
that's a
think-
good permit patty though.
Oh my God.
That's justified.
That's really good. Well, the last note I have is that the Electric Slide song is about a vibrator, and I just found out today. So
Yep.
for those of you who didn't know, just look it up, and you gonna hear the lyrics in a whole new way now.
I don't know if
Yep.
I don't know if it's a factual thing.
No,
though.
the writer
That's
of the
real.
song confirmed it. He
He
said,
confirmed it.
He said, "I'm surprised it's taken
That
this many
people took
years
this long
for
to
people
figure this out."
realize.
Get the fuck out of here.
Can't
Yeah,
achieve
what
it.
happened was
It's electric.
his girlfriend.
Boogie, boogie, boogie.
His girlfriend was actually like, I guess, told him that she dumped him, and she's like, I can do battle by myself with my electric slide. That's what she called it.
And the electric slide.
Yo,
Yeah.
I'm so like I can't believe
Boogie,
it.
boogie, boogie.
Are you still
Or
going
she
to
just liked it. I don't know if she dumped him, but
Now I'm thinking
How
about
about the
freaking
dance?
song.
No, I'm
The
thinking about
lyrics.
the dance, and I'm like, yo, you slide to the left, and then you slide to the right, and then when you take a step back, you lift your leg up, and then you do the other way, and then
all
you
that
turn.
stuff.
Holy shit!
And there's a song where she's like, there's a part in the song where she's like, "Dom chicken, is that like when
Oh yeah, she going through it.
is that like when the vibrator
Climax?
taking her to another level? Because she ain't even saying shit.
I wonder
on
if the
part.
one singing is the girlfriend.
Probably not.
Nah, I doubt it. Listen, before you leave me, I need you to do me this
Yeah.
one favor.
Exactly.
I need you to sing this song.
Sing this song for me.
Yo,
we can make
I
money.
can't.
Yo, I told you, I'm like, there's one more reason why I knew I didn't like that song.
He does
I don't-
not
I
like
don't-
line dances
I don't
or anything
like-
called organized dance.
I don't like those organized dance things, like electric slide,
Charlie,
put it
Brown.
back out, y'all.
Yeah.
Slides. I hate them shits.
I think you even
I
call
never-
salsa organized dance.
I like freestyling it. My whole style is dance. I like to dance to the music because music and dance is an art, man. I freestyle.
So you don't like,
I don't like organized.
You don't like 8 counts, and you don't like shit like choreography type.
You don't
shit?
like anything
No, I love
where you
chore-
could be told you're
Well,
doing
here's
it
the
right
thing.
or wrong.
Yeah, because it's like I think music is so dear to me and so dear to my heart. Like I just feel the music. I feel the music. I don't want to be like, oh, you have to be construct a dance.
I wish
and
you guys
do
could
this,
see Jonathan
do
right
this,
now.
that, and the third, like a robot, like a cog in the machine.
Yeah.
I freestyle it, and I just do what I feel, because that's what music is to me.
I'm right there with you, fam. I'm right there with you.
Cute.
Okay, so I was on, I don't remember if it was Instagram or Twitter, but I want to address something that I love. Crissy Tiegan's clapbacks. She is my favorite when it comes to her clapbacks, because you really don't expect it. Like, she's a funny girl, but you really don't expect the level of clapback that she's coming for. So this is what I saw. I saw that there was a picture of her. I think that she was protesting against Trump and the whole like immigration thing that's taking place. And somebody commented on it and said, "Hey, Crissy, if you don't like our president, then you can leave." And she responded to the person who commented, and she said, "Hey, Patty." Oh, ironically, her name was Patty. She goes, "Hey, Patty, if I had to leave every time I hated someone, I would have left the day you were born."
Got him.
I love that.
And she's that girl. Like,
Yeah.
she does not care how it's going to make her look, if people are going to dislike her from it.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about any of that. She will let you know what's up. And I love that, because no matter her statue, who she's married to, her, you know, her accolades, whatever you want to call it, she is still a very real person. And she's just like, I'm not having none of that shit. I feel like if I ever reach a certain stature, that's going to be me. I'm going to have so much fun being on TMZ in the shade room. Like, yes, bitch, I'm clapping back. What's up?
Yeah.
I feel like I want to know more about her creative process with the clap back. I want to know how long it takes her. I want to know if she runs it by John or someone else. Like, yo, I'm thinking about putting this. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, not enough burn.
Yes.
Oh,
Go
how about
harder.
I be like the day you were born? And then she's like typing the day. Yo, I want to know more about her
What's the
creative process.
That would be good. We need a YouTube video
Because
for that.
I do feel like good clapbacks deserve like a certain level of attention.
For sure.
Because I was actually reading a story earlier about Nicki Minaj clapping back at fans, and she goes about it the wrong way.
She goes
Really?
ham.
I thought she did
goes
good clapback.
hard.
She does it the wrong way. Like,
As far as
fuck you a jealous ass bitch.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get, and Barb's go fuck him up. Like, she did that to this one
Oh
dude.
yeah, that ain't smart. Like, that's just
So
yeah.
there was this recent fan who just made a general criticism, wasn't mean, nasty, or trolling. And she got in this bitch's inbox and was like, why don't you just admit that you're a jealous ass bitch and that I'm out here helping bitches like you get money and this, that, and the third. And that wasn't it. Nikki like followed up with another message. Like, she was really big mad and couldn't let it go.
Oh my
See,
God.
that's my thing. I
And
feel
I'm
like
just like, you're Nicki Minaj.
Exactly.
Like, why? Why are you doing this,
That ain't
bro?
sophisticated. You better than that. You can come up with better.
But it's like, you're a
things than that.
celeb. Like, are you
Yeah.
really gonna pick and choose? Like, if you're doing it for the attention, I get it. You're promoting an
Nah.
album, whatever. But you're in this bitch's inbox.
yeah, nobody can see that. So, but my thing is, like, you can be witty with an insult with not degrading or belittling
Without
someone
being
in
nasty.
a sense. Yeah, without being like,
Be even keeled with it.
Right.
Like, if I left this country every time someone pissed me off, I would have left the day you were born.
that's hilarious.
That's
to me.
funny.
Hilarious, and it's good. And that person was nasty with her first, so it was well deserved. It wasn't
Right.
like, fuck you piece of shit.
And
Yeah,
It wasn't
exactly.
like,
And
you're
then
a
if the
moron.
if the person reacts with that level of comeback where they're like, "Oh, bitch, blah, blah, blah," you won.
You won.
You won. That person is so angry with one
Yup.
statement that you made that didn't even have anything to do with a degrading comment, like
Right.
or a nasty comment rather.
Yeah.
You know who else is good with the clapbacks? Rihanna. She's not on
I was
Crissy
just about to say
Teigen's
that,
level,
Rihanna.
but she's good with them.
Yo,
when she does
I
decide.
love it. So if you guys don't follow Crissy on Twitter, which is where she does a lot of her clapbacks, or Instagram,
Yeah.
you guys need to go follow her because she is fucking hilarious.
By the way, there's this DJ. She was on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I think her name was Sophia or Sophie.
The
or
Body?
Sophia the Body.
I don't like her.
And she said, yeah, she's corny. She's a cornball. She goes, oh, yeah, Thugger, you hear this, how he's stealing your flow? So she texts Young Thug on how Drake is stealing his flow. So she posts that in her story and tagged Young Thug and Drake. And Drake responded to the story, which looks like an inbox because that's what happens.
Right.
And he was like, you reaching as always, like you thirst bucket.
Yeah. No, she really is a thirst bucket.
Yeah, he was like, you reaching like always, thirst bucket.
She's what I like to call a
That's
come up hoe.
hilarious.
That's what I like to call her.
Come up hoe. I like
A
that.
come
She
up
is a come up hoe.
So she's
gorgeous though, which is a shame.
I don't know if that's all real, but whatever. If it is, who cares? She's a very pretty girl.
She's very pretty.
But it kind of goes back to what I always say, like, I can see someone that's so pretty, but if they're like a nasty person, they're no longer pretty to me, or cute, whatever the factor is. So to me, she's a pretty face, but she's not a pretty person. And she's definitely a come up hoe. Like, she's the type of person that attaches or affiliates herself to someone who's current and on the scene at the moment to kind of come up with them, and then she'll hop to the next person and even like probably shit on the person that she came up with originally. She's one of those girls.
Damn shame.
Yeah.
I think another clapback too is Charlemagne in the comments on IG.
I love him.
I never
comments
see
are
him
funny.
respond to anything.
Yo, he
I
his
see
shit's
him
funny.
respond to other people's stuff funny.
Oh yeah.
Like when he commented on the Dame Dash thing.
Yeah.
He like I see him comment on other people's stuff and he be saying funny shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the clapback shit is funny. I like watching that.
What else she got, fam?
So this weekend I heard something that I thought was fucking crazy. But all right, so we all know what gingers are, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Redheaded people. So did you ever hear, I don't know if this was just me, but did you ever hear that like my parents and like older generations would say if a kid was a ginger that they were bad as fuck? That's
Yeah.
was
There's
the
a
saying.
term called redheaded stepchild, which means that like you're the outcast.
Well, not only just the outcast,
But it's like there's always this stigma with being redheaded.
right. And a stigma of any form, whether you were outcasted or like you were just a bad little kid, like you were a bad motherfucker.
Like Chucky.
Yeah,
I think that started with Problem
yes.
Child movie.
Well, that's what I always heard. But
Is Problem Child and Chucky the same thing?
No.
Problem
Oh,
Child.
Oh my
I
god.
don't do movies.
Anne
I
Frank
don't
and
know.
Helen Keller.
Wow.
So, but then this weekend I heard something even more intense and I didn't believe it. I heard it from my brother, and my brother tends to like over exaggerate things. So I, took it with a grain of salt. But he was like, redheaded people, like gingers are soulless. And I'm like, what?
He probably got that from South Park. Doesn't South Park say that?
Soulless. What is soulless?
Without
Doesn't have a soul?
That way of spelling. Okay. Yo, that's fucked up.
I think that if it's not South Park, I know South Park definitely comes at Canadians, but I feel like there's a show or something that talks about redheads.
I don't
in
know,
that
but
way.
he's like, no, he's like, I'm serious. They say that, redheaded people don't have a soul. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I've never heard that
That's a
before.
bunch of bullshit.
I heard that they're bad when they were kids, but I never heard that they were soulless. And then I was having a conversation with a ginger, and the ginger was like, I was like, were you bad as a kid? And they were like, yeah, I was told that I was like evil as fuck. And I was like, for real? He's like, yeah. Like we don't have a soul. And I was like, whoa, like the fact that he confirmed that that's a saying, I was like, oh my God. And he's like, it's not real. I have a soul. I'm like, no.
Geo. He's like a mute. I don't get it. He has
doesn't
no
say
emotions.
anything.
He has no emotions.
Yeah.
It's like you never know what he's thinking. It's kind of scary. Like you don't know what to expect from
But
him at
I
all.
didn't know that was a thing. Like I didn't know people said that.
So here's the more shocking thing that I learned today. I was either I saw this on Dead Files or the prison thing, but they were saying that being a medium, like a psychic medium, is a very low percentage when you talk about like all people who have some sort of
Gift?
like
Ability.
psychic abilities. And I think they compared it to the population of redheads in the world. And I'm like, is the percentage of redheads really that low that you're comparing the statistic
I
to
don't
it?
think. Yeah, I don't think that it's a thing as like.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't realize it was that much of a rarity in comparison to blondes, brunettes, this, that, and the third. But what I will say is that I personally have always found redheaded people, especially ones with freckles, to be very unique and attractive. Not that I go out looking for that, but I've seen them and I'm like, oh my gosh, your hair is so gorgeous. And if it's like, even if your hair is not that shade of red that you want, all you got to go is get that red hair dye and put it on top, make that shit pop.
Yes.
I'm just like, you're so blessed, like, to be a fucking redhead. Like,
but sometimes they have like, even their eyelashes are red, or
yeah, but mascara.
Yeah,
you
but
got
still,
the right
like,
shade of mascara.
that's crazy. Like, do you think like all of their body
Nobody
hair
heard
is
that.
red?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I just said that pube hair.
I don't know.
He said, I just said that. Pubic.
Fact checker. No, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't have enough experience with redheads to be able to comment on this, but who knows? Maybe I'll come into some information soon one day.
Yeah, maybe. So, I have one last thing.
Okay.
Let's hypothetical.
Okay.
You're in a relationship for a long period of time.
It's a fake scenario.
It's a fake scenario. Yes. You're in a relationship for a long period of time. You break up, right? You then start to hear, after a significant amount of time of being broken up, that this person's talking shit about you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle that? What would you do? Do you like, fuck it, I don't fucking care, do what you want, say
It
what
depends
you want?
if it's facts or not.
Depends on what's said. Yeah.
If you talk a shit about me and it's facts, someone be like, well, it's true.
No, like just you as a person, not anything that's like factual
Like,
or
fuck
not.
that bitch, she grimy.
I would confront them.
Yeah, I don't know if I would.
It depends on
somebody.
it depends on how much I care. Like, I would confront them and see what's up with that. Why they talking shit? Like, I thought we left on good.
I thought that we were beyond this.
Listen,
You know.
it depends on what you said and if it's in line with our experience, to where I could be like, okay, this makes sense. This person's saying this because of this and that. Now, if it seems like they're just bad mouthing me and there's no relevance to what they're saying, I am going to confront them about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on who they said it to as well, and how that could have impacted me. Did you say it's somebody that I work with? Did you say it's to someone that's in the industry? Like, your bad mouthing could potentially impact what's going on in my life, and I have moved on. Like, there's a lot of factors that I would consider.
Yeah. Could it fuck up with my money?
Can it fuck up with my money?
Future relationships?
I think
like that.
I think that's true. I think that if it's something that can fuck with your character, as far as like how you go about making your money, your reputation and shit like that, then definitely it can and should be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I see it too is kind of like, sometimes you kind of just have to let that go, because it says more about that individual than it does about the person that they're talking about. Because it's almost like you're low-key salty about something and especially if there was nothing that person did negatively on why you guys broke up, then I think that it's kind of like, you're salty, you're feeling some type of way still, and this is why you're still talking about this person in a negative way, when this person probably doesn't even think about you in that way enough to even speak about you.
You know what's crazy though? Like, this is something that I once heard that I didn't understand until later in life, right? The last time I heard about someone talking some shit behind my back, they said something really bad about me.
Really?
Like, to the point where it could have potentially impacted me in my career.
Oh.
And to the point where I don't know how I'm going to behave the next time I see this person. I've totally lost respect for them. Yeah. And I decided not to confront them, but I've decided how I'm going to move around this person moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And that was almost over a year ago. And I say all that to say this. It also depends who's coming and bringing me the information. You know what I mean? Like, if you close enough to my ex to where you were able to catch wind of something they were saying about me, I want to know what you did to check me on that shit. Because there's no way that I can hear someone talking shit about a friend and then I'm going to just come back and deliver the information. Like, there's going to be more to the story, and I'm going to handle that shit on your behalf, on the behalf of my friend.
Yeah, I agree.
So
with that.
I'm like more interested in, like, I feel like I'm not going to just analyze the person that's talking a shit, but also the person delivering the message.
Yeah, but even
True
if, but
what are your thoughts on that? That's what I want to know.
But I feel like it's like you're stating, it depends on the level of closeness that you are with the person that's delivering this message to you. So if it's for someone who you don't necessarily even expect them to stick up for you because you don't have that type of relationship, then I don't have to check you. I don't have to check you at all.
If you're not that close, they should have never stepped to you with the information. They just being messy.
You can come in contact. You can come in contact with someone that's just like, oh, I blah 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 whatever, and I saw so and so, and I didn't, especially if that person didn't even know that you guys were broken up.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
It's messy as fuck.
Okay.
All right. And I'm just going to keep it a buck. This is an exclusive.
Okay.
If this topic is inspired by real life events, all right, and your ex was talking shit about you, I think I'm more tight and want to get at the person that delivered the information.
I'm sure that after the conversation is had, you won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm interested because it's like you messing up a nigga's vibe by delivering bad news like that. And it's like,
oh, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, you're going to find it funny.
I don't think it's always the messenger.
But I don't think.
It depends on how close you are to
I feel like if you're not close and you're like, oh, I saw so-and-so and they said something negative about you. It's like that shit could have went without saying, honestly.
Some people are just messy that way, though.
And that's what I'm saying. I feel that person's messy and they can get it.
Yeah. It's just like the
it's not worth.
It's just time. Like the cannabis and Mike Tyson and LL Cool J thing with the skit. The way he was saying in the record, he was like, Mike Tyson was like, "Yo, I didn't know you well enough to defend you. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to. Some niggas was talking some slouch ass shit. I wanted to let you know some niggas was talking some slouch ass shit about you. I'd respect that. I wouldn't be like, why are you telling me this?
Like, for example, Rome, if you came up to me and you said so and so is saying this about you, in that point, yes, I'm gonna say, well, what did you say to them when they said that? Because I would expect you to kind of be like, for example, I've had situations like this for real, where someone has said something about one of my friends in front of me, and even if I don't be like, don't talk about my friend like that, I'm always to be like, listen, if this is the conversation that's going to be had, either A, you need to speak directly to that person, or you need to have this conversation when I'm not around. Because let it be known, I'm going to go back and say something.
And your name will be all up in it.
And my thing is, I will, when in situations like that, I have no problem putting my name on that. Look, so you know how like sometimes you'll tell somebody something and then you'll be like, but don't tell them I said that. Don't tell them I told you.
That's messy.
No. If in fact that happens, I'm that girl where I'm going to be like, and you can tell them I said it. I don't fucking care. Put my name all over that shit. Because if they ever step in like, oh, well, who told you? I'm raising my hand like that was me.
My whole point though is like I dig it. I'm not criticizing how you're handling the situation or what you would do in that given situation. What I'm saying is that a lot of times I'm privy to conversations that I probably shouldn't necessarily be a part of, where somebody's talking bad about someone. I don't make it my business to be like, yo, I know I don't know you that well, but I just figured it would be nice for you to know that this person over here was talking shit about you. I'm gonna just leave you with that. Like, I just feel like for me, now I'm involving myself in some shit that ain't got nothing to do with me. Like, and I ain't got time for that shit. And I just wish that people would be more mindful before they start, you know.
So that person should just keep it to themselves?
Yeah, I just feel it's irrelevant. What's the purpose of you delivering the message?
I feel like if there's something that I'm not willing to tie my name to, I'm not going to speak about it. I can definitely agree to that. Like, if I'm like, you know what? If this ever was to come back to the person who was talking shit and the person who confronts them is like, Seal told me, and if I feel like uncomfortable with that, then I'm probably not going to talk about it.
Either way, I think people need to stop putting themselves in a position that they feel that there's a need for them to share the good news or the bad news or whatever. I mean, I just think that's a part of growing up. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't like that personally. I don't.
I'm telling my friends whatever
I think it depends on the message. It depends on what it is.
You know what? You're right. It does depend on what it is. Can't wait for this podcast to be over so I can get more details.
That's all I got, fam.
I'm interested in knowing everybody else's thoughts. Yo, let us know what you would do if you found out your ex was talking shit about you. Okay. And then I also want to know from y'all that if you're privy to a conversation where someone's saying some not so nice things, are you gonna go back and let your friend know? Would you let an acquaintance know?
Are you gonna stick up for your friend at that very moment? Are you just gonna listen and see all of the information that's given out before you address it with your friends?
Are you gonna keep it to yourself?
Are you gonna keep it to yourself? We want to know exactly what route you would take in these situations.
Yeah. Any final words from you, Jonathan?
I think everything's been said.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you guys for listening to another episode of CO in Rome. We appreciate all the love and support. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Later.